fundamental overall trends is number one, globalization. On the other side, you have the consolidation of customers. And it's really an interesting, almost a tension, because there is, if you think of this as two competing forces, we talk about winning the specialization battle, because what we do has to be great. That's the reason we talk about best-in-class unit equipment. It always has to start with best-in-class unit equipment. But the other force is this force of integrated solutions, because the reality is customers, consolidating customers, are less and less willing to buy from this guy, buy from that guy, buy from that person, and put it together themselves. There is this force, especially on new facilities, for integration. And so we call it the battle for and that is, okay, we have all these great integrated solutions, but we better have the best mixers. We better have the best baggers. We better have the best proofers and ovens. That is the challenge in this, is that as customers are demanding a more integrated solution, how do we simultaneously be the best in class in each of these pieces, but also show up delivering equipment from multiple sites and have a smooth startup?
And it seems like one is feeding the other.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the reason we call it the battle for and, because it has to be and. We can't be one over the other. An integrated solution of C quality equipment is of no value to a customer. But if you have 10 different vendors showing up saying, hey, mine's the best, you figure out how to make it work. That's not what customers want as we go forward.
So let's talk about a little bit more about that battle for and how just the globalization and the M&A activity, how is it changing how we do business, and how is it ultimately affecting how your customers go to market?
Well, first of all, it depends on which consolidation you're talking about. I think the real issue is if you look at the consolidators, they typically fall into one of two buckets. We happen to fall into both. You either have the people who buy and integrate, which is what we have done historically within AMF. And that's because the customer is a common customer. The solution is an integrated solution because the products that the customers make and the technologies that we offer have a lot of overlap. Okay. On the other side, basically, we own a bunch of companies and they go call on the customers and they work together however they work together. But it's not, one rep, one project manager, one solution. It's a group of companies. And when I say we do both, AMF is separate from Reading and is separate from Solberg. But why is that? Because the customers are different. For us, we make a distinction based on the customer. And if the and story makes sense at the customer, we will integrate it. But if it doesn't, we leave it separate, because anytime especially you take a company that's historically been entrepreneurial and family and all of those things, anytime you try to merge those things together, that's when we have what we call our internal battle for and, which is a common customer experience, but extreme ownership at the business level. The internal battle for and is, how do you get each of those little businesses inside of AMF act and operate like almost an independent company? And when you show up, all the service techs are, wearing one uniform, working on equipment across the sites. I can call one person for customer service. And so that's the internal battle for and that's where, as the companies consolidate, they've got to figure out how to play that. And our strategy is you only integrate when it's for the value of the customer.
That is what I think makes you in particular very special and unique, that you can kind of have this 30,000 foot view of where do we want to go internally and how do we want to serve our customers.
And the reality is, it's the people who run those businesses. I talk about this, is that the most important leaders in our company are those business unit leaders. Those are the folks who have to listen to the voice of the customer. Those are the folks who have to be attuned to what's going on. And what I've just been able to do is to try to create an infrastructure that's dependent on Markel, because you have to remember, and this is a fundamental difference between us. Our conversation is always, what do we do now that builds an enduring company over the next 25 years, 30 years? I mean, again, the word forever is a word we use.
Mhm.
And so it is just fundamentally different. Since Markel came in, we're almost 6.5 times our size than when Markel came in, because they've given us the freedom and the capital and the focus to grow internally, but also the capital to acquire a Ready or acquire a Trump or acquire a Workforce. And then the real question is, what do we do with them? And fortunately, we've been able to grow them after we've acquired them.